thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm here today with Conrad from ESE. I'm here today with Conrad from ESE and Dan from Nuvei. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. How are you doing today?
It's a pleasure to be on, Sam, and really fired up to speak to both you and Dan today.
As well, very happy to be here, Sam. Thank you for welcoming us and for actually doing this meeting. It's very nice.
It is my absolute pleasure, Dan. So first off, the big one. How long we got? Strap in. So esports in 2020, it was indeed the word on everybody's lips, right? And the space grew, awareness of esports grew a great deal in the past 12 to 18 months. But could you share some light from both of your own perspectives? How did esports grow in 2020? Dan, I'll throw it to you first, sir.
Yeah, no problem. I think I have to divide my speech in two because the fan is going to speak, but also the financial guy, is going to talk. So, if I'm talking about how much I love esports, we're coming from a complicated period of COVID, which turned completely off the offline tournaments, and so far we couldn't see actually any teams moving forward in a lot of disciplines. Thank God, some major competitions such like the League of Legends World Cup still going on, so we can still cheer to our favorite team. I could this one among many. I hope that this year will be better for everyone, so we can see traditional sport, but also esport coming back. And from a financial perspective, I think that this is very interesting that more financial group are taking advantage, should I say, about the situation, trying to help and support esport. We're talking about something digital, so we should be able to support the non-traditional sport that taking advantage of the internet, that don't have to be actually in close to other members, other infrastructure. They can actually work from home or actually play and stand for their team from home. So on my side, Sam, I'm very thrilled for this year, and hopefully the situation will be actually way better for we can move on, especially with Conrad. Today we have such a roadmap for this year, and I hope that's going to be very positive.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dan. And Conrad, how about yourself, sir? If you're able to introduce ESE for us a little bit, give us a bit of an introduction, and then much the same question, just explain how the past 12 months or so have been for you in terms of the growth of the space.
Yeah, absolutely. So ESE is a global esports infrastructure company with offices, all around the world, North America, Asia, and Europe, headquarters being in Europe. And we really pride ourselves on the fundamentals of esports. So really providing a base and an infrastructure so that groups, whether it be teams, leagues, individual players, streamers, etc., have the real infrastructure to succeed. Because one of the biggest issues was people were jumping into this fantastic segment blindfolded with no infrastructure. And even money can't combat that. If you don't have the proper infrastructure, like great partners like Nuvei on the fintech side, or a tournament platform like we have, it's just not possible, right? So we wanted to take a little bit of a different approach where we created this rock solid foundation that we could scale from there. And I think that kind of blends into my background from traditional sports, and I understand that infrastructure and that base core foundation is the most important part in order to scale and build on top of such a great segment like esports. And then, 2020 was, for me, extremely exciting. It really brought this tremendous light onto the industry. More importantly, I think it got non-gamers involved in gaming and non-esports enthusiasts involved in esports, which was fantastic. So it gave them a real insight into what this is all about. And quite frankly, it's COVID-proof. And it's the proof's in the pudding. We went through 2020 and we saw tremendous growth, and it shows that this is just a very sustainable business and a very hyper-growth sector that you have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, could not agree more. I think there are so many different data points that you can look to, right, in terms of the growth, or at least an increased interest in the space for sure. And I guess the hope for all of us is that that continues for some time. So could you speak a little more to the partnership between Nuvei and Kick? Like, how did it come to be? What's the origin story there, and what are the plans for it going forward?
Well, maybe I'll take the lead.
Sure.
The number one thing that struck me was, Dan's passion for the sector, and the willingness from such a large company like Nuvei to have the foresight to even get involved in esports and gaming. They have a significant coverage in the iGaming space, but this is a little bit of a new space for them. But the willingness to jump in and understanding the opportunity, they saw it early, they committed to it, and we're lucky enough to be the beneficiary of that and being partnered with them. They understand that localized fintech partners, on a global scale is so important to the ecosystem. Going back to my original point of infrastructure, you need a proper payment provider to have success. We're going to be implementing their payment systems into our e-commerce platforms exclusively. We're working on a lot of other things that are really exciting that maybe Dan could touch on, but it's more so just finding a legitimate partner on a global scale that just creates that fluidity from a payment solution standpoint in our ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree. Right, couldn't agree more. Sorry, that the importance of that and the payment processing companies looking more and more at the space and being more involved in the space to bolster the various e-commerce offerings worldwide in esports and gaming is integral. I mean, Dan, maybe you could speak a little to the partnership from your side as well, and give us a bit of a down low on your own background in the esports space, if you will.
So, I think, like, if you ask me for my background, back, I should say 10 or 12 years ago, when I was way younger, I was myself here when esports started, as I was actually playing one of the license of Blizzard for the French national team, which country I'm from. And I saw actually how it emerged. I saw it actually how people will see that it could be a competition. It could actually drive the happiness, can actually have fans cheering actually at this competition and flagship, so I thought that when I bridging actually right now with my role I have in finance today, I couldn't actually be more happier when I've been introduced to Conrad. Honestly speaking, I am actually in this industry for the last 14 years, and I do understand that there's a lot of element in esports. We're talking about cheering. I think, like Sam, we exchanged some word about how it's important to have a beautiful image of your team, but also to have actually a very good inspiration for what you want to do. You want to actually to show a good picture, but also you want to win more titles. This whole recipe was into Conrad project, and I'm not talking about the fact that he's one of the global leader in esports, but he has everything to be one of the global leader in esports, and that's why I took the chance with Nuvei to invest all my efforts to have this partnership. So this partnership together is a way for us to first enable players to actually access Conrad Team Kick to be fully visible worldwide. He has the chance to have a pool of talents coming from globally the world, meaning that you will have to have a financing system that can cover different territory. And this is one among actually many ways that we're trying to support ESE with Nuvei. But as a fan again and as a financial person today, I think that the bridge is well established today, Sam.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And yeah, it's I loved hearing about your background in the space as well, man, because I think that's what's important as well, right? For companies such as Nuvei to have people such as yourselves on the team that fully understands the esports space and its variants intricacies, shall we say? That could not be more important. And I suppose, touching on that subject a bit more, do you both think, but Dan, I'll throw it to you first, are some of the challenges that esports as an industry continues to face like now in 2021 and for the foreseeable future. I mean, there have been issues in the past with prize money payouts and such, for instance, right? But yeah, if you could talk a little bit about some of the key challenges the industry as a whole faces, that would be great.
I think that to answer straightly to the point to you, if you asked me this question 1 year and a half ago, I would say that today it's very hard to put on the same table sport and esport. Conrad is coming from a traditional sport. People believe more, in the Champions League, the NFL, the NBA, rather than they want to believe in the Overwatch League or this kind of business. Today, if I put on the table, it seems like esport is winning because it's COVID proof, as Conrad was saying. So there's no bad investment, even if you're looking at the numbers today. It keep growing. You can attend a tournament today, but you cannot actually watch like yesterday. We were actually having the PSG and Barcelona game. How sad it is that those gigantic, iconic teams don't have fans to cheer on. This is not the case actually with actually esport. The main thing I would like to say is that esport is a gray area for any structures. They don't really know what is esport. I think that what I'm blessed is that when I met esport team and when I met the first time Conrad, I can speak his language. Sam, we used to exchange earlier, you and me, about the fact that there's esport and there's esport. And when a guy know exactly what he's talking about, you can actually uprise a bit the trust that you're going to have with the partners. And they're saying, okay, first he wants what's best for us, but he understands what's best for us. And this is why I believe that Nuvei is such a good relationship with esports, especially with ESE. And there's no such challenge, I will say, today, mainly making sure that people can believe in esports and that the situation, the sanitary, the health condition of the world will be better for us to go into offline tournament. It's very hard today. We're struggling to invite people for a stadium to watch an NBA game or to watch actually a Champions League game as right now. How are we going to convince people to go back on buying on ticketing, to attend this kind of event? This is where it's all about how it's going to actually be in the next couple of months, I will say. Yeah, in a couple of months in different country, how good it's going to be, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've at one of our ESI events, we've a panel coming up touching on that subject, like what will the return be to in real life events across the esports space, right? We've seen one, for example, we've hosted some events, I believe 1 or 2 in Singapore, but again behind closed doors, and no fans have been allowed to go back yet. But obviously, that is hopefully at least in that's not too far off, right?
Yeah.
So, Conrad, I guess the same question for you, if you will. Like, what do you see as some of the main challenges for the esports space at present and going forward? I mean, running ESE, you're very much across the industry, right? So, we'd love to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's completely in line with what our company does. So, I really believe the industry is extremely fragmented. There's a lack of professionalism. You mentioned prize pools, for example. I've heard horror stories of people not getting paid or delayed payment, et cetera, et cetera. What we want to do as a company is bring more standardization, solving that solution by bringing infrastructure. So just, really showing the esports community that there is a better way to do it. I've been blessed to play professional sports, traditional sports. And there's some great takeaways from traditional sports that we could implement into the esports side. And people not getting paid prize pools and things of that nature, to me, is completely unacceptable. We have to treat the esports athletes the same we do traditional athletes, whether it's sponsorship, prize pool winnings, and that's why I think it's so important. And it was important for us to find a payment provider like Nuvei, because it brings that real consistency and it's real infrastructure behind the payment side. So if we did an event and we had to pay out prize pools, it's immediate. And that's how you gain trust in the community. You gain trust basically in esports in general, that these are real events, and you could really suck in bigger sponsors. you could get more people involved on a broader scale because you're doing it the right way. And the only way to build that trust is consistency and through the infrastructure. And I just think right now, even though it's such a fantastic boom, the fragmentation of the industry is still very significant. And I think we're all in agreement that we need to clean that up a little bit and not let a few people give it a bad name, but collectively work together and turn it into like a Champions League, where there's just so much professionalism behind it that players are looked after, prize pools are being paid, sponsorships are coming in, but it's done the right way. You know, not. I know gamers like doing stuff their own way, but there's a limit to that. And I love for our players to have their own personalities and do their own thing, but when it comes to the corporate side, let's keep it a little bit tighter and work on that infrastructure side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I could not agree more. I mean, it's always the case, right? That a few bad actors can spoil the reputation of the industry as a whole to newcomers to it that are just brands, for example, that are just entering by way of sponsorship of a team or a tournament operator that are just getting into the space. Yeah, those integrity issues for sure need to be resolved. So anyway, we've done the important stuff. So for the final question, we'll get on to the more fun one. So for the year ahead, right? 2020 is out the way. So 2021 is upon us. What are some of the trends, or just one trend perhaps, that you would both advise people to watch out for? Like, is that looking at Wild Rift, for example, or the explosion of the Valorant scene and its continued growth? But yeah, what are some of the? I'm spoon feeding them to you now. What are some of the trends that you guys are looking towards in the esports space in 2021? So Conrad, we're with you already. So yeah, jump in, man.
I'll take a little different approach because I know Dan's gonna jump into the more esports centric.
Yeah,
I'm just a huge believer in the crossover, and I think it's just gonna explode in 2021. We're doing stuff with Sony Music, Columbia Records. We're doing stuff with traditional pro athletes. They're jumping into this full steam ahead. We just signed a big Premier League soccer club out of Portugal. We're doing all their esports and gaming. So I think the 2020 boom, in my opinion, because they saw the effect of COVID, they all want to get into this space, and they're going to look for real partners in this space, and then we're going to see this amazing crossover where it's just like a matrix of gaming and esports across so many different platforms, both non-traditional and traditional sports.
definitely. Yeah, you know for a fact that I'm keen on more and more of the football clubs entering the space. So I was a big fan of that one. And yeah. Dan, the same question to you, sir.
It's a very interesting question. I'm going to answer to you that today everyone has his chains. What I'm saying is that if you, again, I'm trying to make the opposition against 2 years ago. 2 years ago, you're coming to me and say, Dan, can you shout me who is the winner or who is the global leader in one discipline? And it's been the same for the last 6 to 10 years. Today, if you're telling me, Dan, where do you put a copper on which team? I don't know, because the talent emerged. We're giving more times, people staying at home maybe, but they're actually duplicating the techniques and how to improve actually from other teams. They're trying to mimic, trying to understand how to be better. And today, for instance, you can tell me League of Legends, you can talk to me about World of Warcraft, you can tell me about Counter-Strike. Every time there's a different winner. And I can take the League of Legends scene because this is one scene that I'm very close to. If you're asking me for the last years, I can tell you that Faker and his team is actually getting every trophy one after another. And right now, the winners of the World Cup, is different every year since. So that's the message I want to give, is that I cheer for many teams. But today it's nice to see that it's not only one person standing as a winner. It's boring, when just like in football before, it's Real Madrid and Barcelona getting all the Champions League, and we can see that lately other actually teams that can compete with them. This is something one of the reasons I pick also Kick is that maybe it's not actually one of the leader on the scene, but I've been following them for so long, and I saw actually the pool of talent growing. I believe they have their chance. And it's really something. Let's see each other, hopefully, guys, next year, so we can very cheer our real result. but I can say that today we don't we don't really know who's going to win, and that's something that is very exciting from the esport perspective as a fan. It means also that esports is growing, that you have to invest time, just like in coach, in people that here for your preparation, just like a normal traditional sport. And I'm very excited about all the competitions going to come over very soon, and that's I believe what for me is very exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, League of Legends specifically that you mentioned is one that I'm personally clueless about, but I am very friendly with the guys at Team Vitality, so I keep betting on them in the LEC, and they're having a bit of a tough time at the moment. So maybe if I stop betting on them, they'll start winning. We'll see.
That's very fun what you're saying, Sam. I'm very close to the head of partnership in Team Vitality, and this is a team that, beside the fact that it's a French team, this is a team that I believe in. And sometimes you cannot be good every time on what you're doing. As of right now, for instance, they're facing a tough time in League of Legends. But tell me one team in Counter Strike that is actually
CS,
right
exactly.
now at the summits of the success. So I think that on their side also they can face different type of management and coaching, Sam. But this is the ups and downs of sports, and this is what we want to see as fans.
Exactly, that's the excitement, right? I could not agree more, guys. Okay, I think that's all we've got time for. But thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing what comes of the Nuvei and ESE Kick partnership. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day, guys.